should have some sound, I think. No, we haven't got sound. That's all right. Sorry, we haven't got sound on this one. So this is the first example, and the first thing, as you see, we have this nodding dog, because the first thought that we had, it's a bit rubbish, isn't it? The first thought we had in the dog in Fable II is, why don't we have punishing and rewarding? And the idea was that you could use this and move your hand up and down. Everyone immediately went to the dog's bottom and started poking their finger in places that their finger shouldn't go. And that was beside the point. But we went through this experiment. This experiment perhaps took, I think it took a total of 2 weeks to do. And we came to the realization that, I don't know what that bit was, we came to the realization that really this didn't make a dog feel like a dog. It made it feel like, well, it made it feel like a bit like a creature out of black and white, and that was kind of being generous. It took us further away from what our ideal was, and we came back and asked ourselves, right, when we had a meeting about it, what do we really want from the dog in Fable II? And what we really wanted was this feeling of bonding with the dog. And we went into a room with this experimental team, where we wrote all the things that were important on the wall, and it turned out from that, from playing around with this experiment, that, you know what, we should drop punishing and rewarding of the dog in Fable II because of this 2-week experiment. Now, if it hadn't been for this experiment, we would have had to wait probably a year to actually come to that conclusion. But we didn't collapse that little experiment in. Instead, they went back and they experimented with something else. And this is probably one of the most valuable experiments, and certainly one of the fastest experiments we ever did. And it was using the Fable I engine. And what we did was, we used one of the creatures, which is called a Balgreen, to do doggy stuff, rather than put a dog into Fable. And the experiment was, why don't we think how the dog can actually move and be a companion to the player? And by simply putting the dog in front of the player, rather than, as usual in a lot of computer games, behind the player, we suddenly found, this is the wrong bit, by the way, suddenly found we have a huge hammer. We suddenly found that we could have, there was this connection with the dog. You weren't relying upon him anymore. You didn't feel like he was a burden to you. You felt like he was in some way leading you, rather than you were dragging him along. And that very short experiment really worked fantastically well. So there was that was a real fantastic success.